It's a great day. My name is Che Brown, the Happy Entrepreneur, and welcome to the Happy Entrepreneur Show, the #1 business development and revenue focused late night show in the country where we are on a mission. And our mission really is to inspire. Our mission is to empower. And our mission at the end of the day is to provide you, that's right, you, the hard-working entrepreneur, with all of the resources that are necessary to execute that big vision you have for the people you were called to serve. And on this episode, we have the one and only LaWanna Bradford. She's in the building. And she'll be talking about how to remain relevant in the ever-changing market. What's going on, LaWanna? How are you today?
Hey, Shay, I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me, and I'm excited for this conversation.
Well, I'm curious. I'm excited too. And thank you, the viewers. Thank you for inviting us into your home. You have a lot of choices and you choose to be with us. So thank you so much. I got to ask the question that's got me on everybody's mind that looked at the flyer or even read about it. We'll get to your bio in a minute and how famous you are and all that. But they got to be curious. What does it really mean for a business in today's world to remain relevant in an ever-changing economy? What does that even mean these days?
Well, we know the one thing that is constant, Shay, is change. And when we look at just how business has evolved over the decades, each iteration gets shorter and shorter and shorter. And now we're looking at jumping from the information age to knowledge age to digital age, and now we're at AI. And it just seems like we blinked and we're there. And businesses are trying to spin and figure out, how do I still stay connected, i.e. relevant, top of mind with my consumers, so that I can ensure that I'm satisfying their ever-changing need, solving that ever-changing problem. Because just as we need to be agile and adaptable in today's market, in today's economy, our clients are doing the same thing. They're trying to figure out, how can I make ends meet? Do I really need this thing, or is this just a want? So I think relevancy is very, very key and critical if you want to stay in business for the long term.
So for those folks that have been in business and those folks that are new, they're like, look, I'm going about my daily business. I'm seeing what's going on in the market. I think I know what's going on, but the question they really might have is, what are the warning signs that an entrepreneur's business is starting to fall behind in the market? Is there 1, 2, or 3 things that an entrepreneur should be looking for or checking in on?
I think the number one thing is, do you really understand your market? And I find, especially small business owners, you're so engaged in the business, right? Your head is down. You're grinding it out every single day. But do you really know what's happening in your industry? You have to be a student of your industry today. Find the big giants, because success leaves clues, and understand, how do you frame what you do with new things that are coming into play, whether it's technology, whether it's AI. So I think those are the top 3 things.
Well, you're someone, and we'll get into your background in a moment, but you're someone who's, I don't know, over the last 30 plus years have worked across multiple businesses or multiple industries, by the way, from corporate America to entrepreneurship to finance to media, to a whole lot of different areas you worked in. What has more than 30 years of change taught you about staying relevant? I mean, you've got some years, and here we are today. You're as relevant today as you were yesterday. So what has all these years taught you about change, and specifically about being open to it and not resisting it?
I think the one thing being in various industries has taught me is no industry is immune to change. So when I started off, most people don't realize I was a statistician. So I was developing statistical models for the Department of Defense, now the War Department. And my focus was on telecommunications. It was on satellite communications. And that world began to change. And as it shifted, the jobs that were supporting that had to change. So we had to figure out, how do we retool people, reschool and move them to somewhere else, or in some cases, the technology, the greater efficiency, replace them. You even look at my experience in mass transit. It changed, right? It's like, how do you create like buses going from your traditional bus to your articulated buses to your energy efficient buses to paratransit which enables disabled people to get to where they need to go efficiently and effectively and safely. So there's ever changing, and no matter what the industry is. And then my latest was public health, right? And what do you have? You have the pandemic. You have other things that may put public safety at risk. Those are changes. And changes, Shay, do not have to always be bad. Change can be an opportunity to plant yourself in a new and innovative way. And one example, which I absolutely love, is Disney, because they were an animation, right? Their first full feature uh, Technicolor at that time was the language used for their animation was Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Everyone's happy, everyone's singing "Happy Days Are Here Again," and then World War II happened. Well, people didn't want to see Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. That was irrelevant at that time. So what did Disney do to become relevant? They took what they did and they supported the war effort. So rather than doing animation, they provided your propaganda, your newsreel materials to support the war efforts, to help those at home to know what was going on. And then once the war was over, then they came back and reinvented themselves again. And they continue, I think, to lead they're at the forefront, I believe, of reinventing, reimagining, and that's their term, themselves over and over again.
We say over and over again, that led us to a good place and great answer, by the way, which is, well, you know the question. Somebody's listening to you right now. They're in the kitchen cooking dinner. Someone else right now maybe listening to a podcast. Thank you so much. We might be on someone's TV right now. Hey, it's always good to hang out with you. But they're curious. They're like, I haven't read this person's bio, Shay. She's making sense when I'm hearing her, but I really don't know her backstory. I don't even know who she is. So can you slow down for a moment and we'll speed back up and take a moment and tell them who is LaWanna Bradford and what's the backstory that led you to something we'll be talking about shortly called the R3 system. But what's the backstory that led you to doing what you're doing now?
To answer the first part, who is LaWanna Bradford? I'm a person who has been blessed with a line of sight to be able to create connections. So finding opportunity in the chaos and translating stumbling blocks into stepping stones. And that led me to being an analyst in my career and a strategic planner. So I love puzzle pieces in life and putting those together. And as an entrepreneur, I take that same lens and show individuals how they can develop their own line of sight when it comes to business management, scaling, and even creating those critical relationships and partnerships. So I'm like really truncating that story, but it really, I think we find who we are based upon what lights us up. And even as a child, Shay, I was probably the most inquisitive child you wanted to be around. I wanted to know why everything. Why is the sky blue? Why? And I still am that way with life. So when there's a problem, it's like, why does it exist? How do we solve it? Why is this broken here? How do we fix it? And again, that inquisitive nature led me in my role as an award-winning analyst and financial analyst from a government entity, winning some of the highest awards, speaking at congressional levels, and now doing what I love, working with small businesses and entrepreneurs.
Well, not only you working with small business and entrepreneurs, not only you doing what you love after you shared your background, but you created something called the R3 system, by the way, and that's kind of has three areas: refocus, reframe, reconnect. And I'm curious, and I know you only have so much time, but can you kind of connect those three? Give us, why they exist. But first, let's make it two parts, ladies and gentlemen. She can handle it. Number one, what is the R3 system? Because I just kind of threw that out there and I gave him some definitions. Let's do that first, and then second, before you even talk about it, talk about why it's even relevant to businesses today, why they need to know about it, so we can all stay relevant.
Well, the R3 is my proprietary system. So when you think of strategy, most people understand strategic planning. And in its simplistic form, this is where I am, this is where I'm going, and I'm going to throw something out there and hopefully it sticks and I move the needle. Well, what I found is if that were the right way to do business, then we wouldn't have so many businesses struggling, including corporations. And I realized that there's a science to it. So it's beyond that. But in a time of radical change, you have to be able to be very agile and adaptable when it comes to strategy and strategy design. So the R3, refocus, reframe, and reconnect, is a system that allows you first on the refocus. Most people think, oh, that's mindset. Has absolutely nothing to do with mindset, but it has everything to do with being situationally, environmentally, and internally aware, understanding all the puzzle pieces, right? So beyond your traditional strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, but really going into the drivers that make those things tick. Why is it a strength? Once you have those puzzle pieces together, then comes the reframing. And the reframing, I love to think of Dr. Martin Luther King's statement where he challenged us and he said, "What is your life's blueprint?" And when I heard that, I thought, oh my gosh, to have a blueprint, I must be an architect, right? And so reframing is I am the architect in my life. I'm redesigning this lane that I'm in. I'm deciding the products, the prices, the people, right? The stakeholders. If there's anyone in it that I don't want, as George Fraser says, Dr. George Fraser, I bless and release them. So I create this ideal world that I want. The hardest part after the designing is the reconnect. And that's where the mindset piece comes in. And that's where we have to get rid of those limiting beliefs, those bubble talks, the naysayers that may be in our camp. Because if you understand all the pieces, their dependencies and interdependencies, and you create a new design based on the current environment and all of your strengths and talents and skill sets of your team and your partner relationships. Now all it is about committing and believing that you can step on that field or execute and win. And I tell people one thing, Shay, they hear it and they're like, oh, I got that. That sounds pretty simple. But it would be like me handing you the keys to a car, Shay. You've never driven before, but you've watched someone drive, right? And you're like, I get it. I know how to press ignition or put the key in and turn and put my hand on the wheel and press the gas and go. But what you don't know are the rules of the road, right? So if you drive without having all the knowledge or someone in the passenger seat guiding you, then you end up jeopardizing yourself. You can put yourself at greater risk. So I tell people that's where coaches, consultants are so key, especially with this R3. It sounds simple, but there's some deeper nuances that if you haven't been in it, you don't have the insight or the line of sight, you may miss critical lanes and steps in your business.
I love it, by the way. And as you were speaking, one of the things that you talk about often is you talk about this thing called trajectory, by the way. You always say, don't follow the trajectory. You got to read the indicators. What are indicators folks should be paying attention to and they should be watching as they implement the R3 system? Is there 1, 2, or 3 indicators they should be looking at and watching, or should they just follow the trajectory?
I think the first indicator is pay attention to your customers. What are they saying? You know, what moves are they making? They are so instrumental. And then number two, if you have staff, great, listen to them, ask them questions because they are closer to the pulse than you are. Or if you don't have employees or staff, what are your stakeholders saying? Be willing to have those conversations. Don't get so caught up in, oh guys, they're competing with me, that you don't want to sit and do a roundtable discussion. And then the third thing is reevaluate your products and services. Are they the right ones? After you've already talked to your clients and you understand the pain points, is it still meeting the need? Or is it, I'm so wedded to this baby, I'm not going to let it go? And then you may end up going the way of the railroad, right? Or Blockbuster.
I love that. I love how you said that. The examples were spot on, by the way. And, you know, it's a good segue, if you were talking about the R3 system, to a segment we have here called Today is my January 1st. Now, I'm going to set up for her so she knows we're going to ask about one of her setbacks. But for those folks who tune in every night at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you already know what is about to happen. In fact, you can say those magical words. Today is my January 1st. Happy New Year to you, by the way. And for all the other folks who are tuning in for the very first time, today is my January 1st is our personal mantra, the Happy Entrepreneur Show. It represents a fresh start. It represents a do-over. It means our past, no matter how dark and gloomy that past is or how bright and sunny that past is back there, the past really no longer equals the future. And so my question for LaWanna Bradford on the other side is really two parts. Number one, just when you hear those words, today is my January 1st, what do you hear? And you're not new to the show. I always happy to have you back as a repeat guest. And number two, what was one of the setbacks you had in your life, if any, or your business, and how did you bounce back from it?
I think when I hear, and you're the first person that I heard use that way to self-motivate. Today is my January 1st. It's because to me it says it's never too late to start or start over, right? Re-energize yourself, reinvigorate yourself. And if you're tapped into that why and that big dream, okay, so it didn't work last month, but I have today. And this is a blessing, and I'm going to step into it, and I'm going to lean into it and give it my all. And I think that's so great because as business owners, it's like we wait till the end of the year when we do our strategic plan, and it's like, no, every day, let's get excited, let's get charged and ready to really move that needle and make a difference and make an impact. And don't wait till those quarterly milestones. But I think when you say that, Shay, today is my January 1st, there's an internal switch that ignites. It's beyond the bottom line, right? And when you can tap into that, I don't care what the numbers say. You know, I heard a long time ago, there's never a lack of money. It's only a lack of knowledge and wisdom. So when I tap into today's my January 1st, those ideas are firing. I mean, there's so many ideas. I'm like, I don't know which one to take first. I get so excited. So that's what it does to me. I use that often when I'm talking to people and getting them to be encouraged and press through, reminding them that today is your January 1st.
I love it. Spot on, by the way. And one of my favorite questions I like to ask when we have a few moments, and I appreciate your transparency, by the way, is what's one of the best pieces of advice you've ever been given? And I'll frame it to the audience because you've got a lot of advice over the last 30 plus years of being in business. You've read more books than you can remember. I'm sure you've written books as you've done. You've interviewed guests along the way. You've watched more videos and been to more trainings you could probably even remember. But if you had to step back and say, you know what, here's one of the best pieces of advice someone passed to me that I want to pass on to the audience, what would it be and why?
Now, you asked me another question. Do you want me to answer the difficult situation?
Yes,
or
yes. First, answer the setback question. I was going to come back to that, but yes, the setback question.
Okay. Well, the setback question is, and I use this a lot, is the 2007, 2008 mortgage crisis when everything was going great and the economy tanked. Rug was swept from under us, and our ability as a commercial mortgage provider, our ability to do loans, we were residential at the time, was quickly stalled. And I didn't know what to do. And if it hadn't been for my parents, and I have no problem sharing this, I would definitely be out of business, and I probably wouldn't have a roof over my head. And sometimes you have to swallow your pride and reach out to those who can help you navigate the storm, because I, along with many others, had never faced anything so traumatic. And it taught me also what I was made of. And that, yeah, mom and dad were there as a safety net, but they could only take me so far. It was, again, my determination, my push through redesigning my business so that it remained relevant. Staying in the residential side was not going to work, not at that time. And that's how we ended up translating to the commercial side of the house so that we could remain relevant. And we just celebrated 20 years in business.
Congratulations on that 20 years in business. Thank you for all the work you've done, all the lives that you changed along the way. We appreciate that. Thank you so much. The third part of the question I was asking was, what's one of the best pieces of advice that you've been given that you want to pass on to the audience?
Sure. And I'll give you two pieces, and they were given by the most important people in my life, and that was my dad and my mom. My father told me, and they told me this actually when I graduated from high school, and I thought, okay, what does that really mean? Well, little did I know that those were going to be the bookends of how I have lived my life and managed my business. The first thing was do for my dad, find something in life that you love so much that you'd be willing to do it for free and you'll never work a day in your life. And I wake up every day loving what I do. I'm so blessed to be able to do what I love. And then the second is my mom said, learn from the mistakes of others because you can't live long enough to make them yourself. And that was her way of saying, don't think you know it all. Get a coach, get a mentor, get a tutor, get somebody who's been there, done that, and got the t shirt, and you will be more apt to win than trying to do it solo.
I love it, by the way. I love it. Thank you so much. Great advice. Great advice. You know, you've trained over, I don't know, 50,000 plus professionals between all of your media training, your books, you being on stage, and all the wonderful things you've done over the years. And that's very important. And I guess my question is, based on what you've done and you trained, what separates the leaders? And we got a lot of leaders that are all watching. That's you watching right now, by the way. What separates the leaders who are able to adapt to change versus those who don't?
Well, the leaders who are able to adapt to change, Shay, are still here.
That was a loaded question. I mean, I gave you a softball there to take it wherever you want.
But I will take it, from a tactical standpoint. If you're not willing to adapt to change, then you're creating that energy of resistance. And that actually trickles down. It trickles down to the individuals you're working with. It creates a negative spiral. It creates a lack of clarity and confusion. So you're not able to see your way out or the opportunities that are there. And it really does set you on the trail. I guess I call it the trail of tears. And so I think that we shouldn't be afraid of change. Know that it is part of our existence. It's that's just life. But when it comes, say, okay, well, what does this mean to me? Let me not react to it. But once I understand it, now I can respond. And sometimes when the change comes, you may have to make the decision it's time to cut bait. That's not for me to tell you to do, but that's for you to do. And I'm saying not cut bait because you just don't want to press through. Sometimes it's time to shift or to pivot and do what you love in a different way.
I love it. Said so well. As we come down the home stretch, a two-part question for you. Number one, what type of clients are you looking to work with, if any? I'm not sure if your firm's taking on any clients. And number two, how can folks best connect with you? How can they stay in this conversation over and beyond the time you and I have right now? Is there a website? What should they do? Should they follow you on social media? Please share with the audience.
Well, the clients that I'm looking to work with, we work with your major corporations and government agencies, but right now I really want to work with those small business owners because you are the heartbeat of our economy. Without you, there is no economy. Without you, we don't have sustainable communities. Without you, we don't have legacy and hope for the next generation. But what's so important is we know change is rapid. And it's really hard to stay abreast of all the changes when you're trying to manage a business. But just imagine if you had a partner who was walking with you, someone who was tapped into your goals and your vision, who was able to give you the line of sight, help you understand what your industry is doing, showing you those opportunities in the chaos, and helping you to translate stumbling blocks into stepping stones. Just imagine what your life could be like. That's what we at the Bradford Group do. We come in partnership with you. So if you're looking for that partner, that consultant that can help you navigate these waves of change that we're in, to stay in front of the wave or at least ride that crest of the wave, please contact me at LaWannaBradford.com. For all things social media, I'm easy to find, LaWanna Bradford. Or guess what? You can call me 678 428 5589, and I'd love to have a conversation.
Thank you so much for being on the Happy Entrepreneur Show. I appreciate LaWanna. You're someone I had a chance to talk to on the phone, meet in person, hang out with, and on many occasions. And thank you for being on the show and coming back. We can't wait to have you back again as a guest. You're amazing. You're doing some incredible things.
Thank you so much, Shay. This has been great. I appreciate it.
Thank you. And thank you to viewers. Thank you for tuning in, by the way. We appreciate it. You have a lot of choices and, well, you choose to be with us. So thank you very much. And I never get tired of reminding you, every night at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, no matter what's going on in your life, whether you're doing really, really well and you're reaching for that next level of success, whatever it is for you, or maybe you've been hit with the punch that you never saw coming, the one thing I do believe is that today is your January 1st. Because of just that one reason alone, I believe your best is still yet to come. Your best is yet to come. Your best yet to come. That being said, my name is Shay Brown. I'm out. Thank you, LaWanna. Peace, everybody. We'll see you on the other side. Keep doing God's work. Bye-bye.